We will find out what's happening. Is this a war or something? We're going to have a deep dive today. This is February the 1st, 2026. And the Meteorological Department in the United States talking about the weather, how the weather is changing, how it caused so much problems, so much fun, so much money is being spent. As I said, this is going to be a deep dive today. I'm your host, your prophetic host, Renway B. Manson. And this is BLC, Blueprint Land Creation Podcast. And I'm going to do a deep dive to tell you why, what is happening. Are you ready? Let's go. And as I said earlier, you see the weather is been freezing. The temperatures has plummeted. They are saying that this is a worst weather pattern that they're saying for quite some time. It's costing them billions of dollars. Now, we got to pause. We got to pause right there. Let us go back and find out what is the problem. Why is this weather happening? Like I said, even within the Bahamas, some of the Arctic wind is coming over North America and slamming into us. As I said, on December the 31st, yesterday, man, it was so cold over in the Bahamas. Man, all my toes are numb. Even now it is numb. That recording this program with you. But like I said, we got to go back. Why is the weather so raging? Is this a war? Why is everything dropping, everything plummeting? We got to go back. In order to go back, we got to go back where? We got to go back to 2025. Why you say 25? You got to go back. In order to go forward, you got to go back. You got to go forward, look back, then you got to come forward. Now, in 2025, let's look at it now. We look at the weather. And in North America, had plenty of fires. And the Bahamas had plenty of fires. And this is my topic. Like I like to talk about fires, and I like to talk about the forests because the two go hand in hand. And like I said, last year 2024, first and foremost in the United States, it had tons of fires. Now in Andros, it didn't have that much fires in Andros like it normally had in 2024. And 2024 was a serious year that it was burning. But our fires in Andros normally ends about June, about the middle of June. And of course, we normally have a festival here called Crab Fest. And that's when the crabs normally comes out of their holes. And once they come out of their holes, that we know we have a good Father's Day present, crab soup, right? So that is when our fires will normally, once that rain comes down in June, the fire season normally ends. But in Nassau, in Grand Bahama, and Abaco, slightly different times. It normally go a little further up at times. But right now in Andros, we have no fires. Now we had a fire coming up earlier in this year of June. That's the only fire that happened for this year, June. But now in the United States, there was already fires consistently. California started off for fires, tons of fires, burning out. And like I said, fires happen to burn. Some persons lost their homes, even some persons lost their lives, right? But that was the start of what was taking place in 2026. That's just a start, right? Now, looking at it, as I said, this is a deep dive. This is something that you normally will not hear the Meteorological Department talks about in this area here, what I'm dealing with. Because this is my field now, this is my field that I am in. And I've learned this field by being here in Andros, as you see my various podcasts are coming up, Blueprint Land Creation Podcast, and dealing with land. So now, when we look at what's happening, why the weather is so extreme, why everything is happening. Like I said, you get the scientific department saying that climate change, global warming, everything is happening. Stick around. Now, let's go now. So now you saw that you were freezing. The temperatures plummet. People locking, freeze, so snow all about over the place, right? And I'm rubbing my hand because I'm still cold at this particular time recording this, even though I have a lot of lights on. Now, okay, now the snow fell. Now what happens is when the fire burned a lot of pine trees. The pine trees burned. And you know that pine trees is burning all of the places that had fires, even from Canada, straight up. All the places that had pine trees that had fires in 2025. Even some going into the December. And the winter months still had fires. Now what happens is when the fires burn the pine forest, and you know, in the United States, and especially even in California, I think there's over 19 different species of pine trees. And you know, your pine trees normally be thick and deep in the ground. Now, I noticed that by looking at your fires and the snow, because like I said, this play hand in hand. Now, what happens is when the fire in our pine forest, our Caribbean pine forest trees, we got a majority of mixed coppice trees, different types of trees, and it's bunched up together in our Caribbean pine forest. Now, in the United States Caribbean pine forest, your pine trees is normally spaced apart. I don't see that much different species of trees within it. I see a lot of little small little plant, shrub trees and so, but not like how we have that major coppice trees mixed up with broadleaf trees. I don't see that, right? But the fire came, and the fire what burned out a lot of the forest trees. It had extremely, like you said, it was high heat. Fires burning out California, burning out acres and acres and acres, burning down of Caribbean pine trees. And when I say Caribbean pine trees. But what happens is, when you look at the Bahamas pine trees, like I said, when I was doing my research, finding out in 2024, why are we having so much fires? What happened was, I went in the Caribbean pine forest and I started doing my research, like looking at the trees, because you know, when you listen to people, they talk about Caribbean pine trees causes on fire. It don't like to be crowded. It burns out the underbrush and so forth, right? But I did the research, and I found out why. And it has nothing to do with that. I mean, even though that's included, that's why they burn out. But what happens is, the trees, when it's time for fires to start, the fires start from the sky. The fire started in the sky. You remember the portion in the Bible in the book of Job, and they say the fire came from the sky? Fire came from the sky. Now, what happens is, in 2024, I had a situation where I was looking in my area before the fire started, and I saw the sun in the clouds like this glare. You know, like how when you get your magnifying glass and you put on something and that beam comes down and it burns underneath. I saw this glare came out of the sky, like out of the clouds, and then it comes on the ground. All of a sudden, I saw this twist like a twister, like normally when a tornado land on the ground. I saw like smoke start to smoke, and I watched it for about 5 minutes, but I didn't see no fire. So I moved and I went away. When I came back, the whole area on fire. I said, oh, that's the problem. And so when you see that glare in the sun, when the sun's shining through the clouds on sometime early in the morning, fire's gonna start somewhere, right? So now, so I now recognizing that the fire, how the fire starting. So we have the Caribbean pine trees. So what happens is, once the fire starts in the Caribbean pine forest, the pine trees, when the shrubs around it, the dry needles and everything get caught up in the high heat and starts. Now, our Caribbean pine tree starts, when you look at even your pine trees, your pieces is more closely fit together. Our Caribbean pine trees pieces look like jigsaw puzzle, stick together. But what happens is, when the fire burns, the fire burns the bottom of the pine tree. Just using my arm for example, it burns the bottom. It's like a candle, putting a match to the candle, and that wax starts to drop, and you stick the candle on a piece of a plate or whatever, so it's stunner. So what happened is, in the pine tree, the pine tree's got a core, like how in my hand got my skeleton from my hand. So what happened is, once that's lit in the pine tree, the fire hits that core now gets very hot, and the skin or the bark of the tree splits open, And even like even when the rain comes down, after a period of time, you see ridges will be in the pine tree. It will split open, and the resin that is in it, like if I cut my hand, you see the blood will start to drain out. So the resin starts to fall out, and that goes into the ground, right? So now, and that creates even much more flame, much more fire. Start burning out the Caribbean pine trees. Now, our Caribbean pine trees normally burns about 6 to 8 feet. Now, one or two trees or a couple of trees may burn down, but the whole area do not burn down. That is not the same with when I go do the research online and look at the forests in California or some other parts of the United States. I see where your pine trees be lit when they burn down. The whole thing will tend to fall down. A couple of trees is also burned too, but then they have like a lot of lumber laying on the ground side by side. And so what happens is that has a lot of ash inside of it. So once that is breaking down, now this is where it changes. Now, once all that then breaks down, the next thing happens when the weather change. You now have rain sometimes come and breaks down the ash in the tree, and the ash is the blackness in the tree. The blackness in the bark of the tree, that's called the ash, that is the carbon. And so what happened? That needs to be broken down. Then what happened is, then you have snow comes. Snow comes, that's the next expression of it. Snow comes in. When the snow comes in, the snow falls on the pine trees in abundance. Start falling. Of course, in the community, snow can fall through everywhere. People can be locking. You can't travel. You can't move around. Everything is falling apart, right? So now what happened is snow fall on the trees. Now the snow has water in it, right? The snow is ice water, cold. So once that falls on the trees, now the tree knows, the pine tree knows that, hey, in autumn time, they drop their various leaves and needles drops off the tree, building on the ground, making that cluster. And that normally will more likely keep the pine trees, the bottom of the pine trees hot. What did not burn in the fire is automatically turned into ash. Now, not all the trees are burned, some still leaves, right? Now, it's also said something too, when I did research on the pine trees. The pine trees grow, the cone of the trees, the seeds are in that. So because of the heat of the fire, causes them to pop. And that's how they disperse and they start to grow different places around there. Now the fire itself would not destroy everything. The fire got life, because even though you may not know it, there's a communication going on with the fire and the trees and the land. Everything is going on. That's why, like you see in my podcast called Blueprint Land Creation, everybody's communicating. You can't hear it, and they're not talking the language that you and I can hear, but they know. So what happened is the fire now will come in and burn the trees, but it wouldn't necessarily destroy everything. And so what happened is these seeds in the cone pops, and now they will be able to germinate life again. So what happens now? So now, like I said, so when the rain comes and the snow comes, everything starts breaking down, and the ash and they breaking down, everything broken down. And now when the snow comes, the snow is on top of the wood and everything, and the wood and everything is breaking down. And what happened is the seed now the seeds is in a cocoon. It's able to still withstand the outside pressure. It's able to withstand it, so there. And so what happens is as they breaks down, the temperature breaks down, and that water and everything, that weight of that snow is on them wood, and everything starts cracking and breaking up and so forth. And then what happens is, then you got wind comes through, because wind is also water. Wind is water. That's why the night is be drafty and so on. So the wind is water. When the wind comes through, the wind can even push down other trees what didn't fell. They push that down, and then, like I said, more rain and everything start breaking everything down. And so what now you have what? This is deep. Like, subscribe, and share. Like I said, then you have the wind, everything broken down, and the rain, everything broken down. And then sometimes you got flood comes in, the flood, like I said, water, and start tumbling and slamming things up together, and everything breaks down. And what happened is, when the charcoal in the wood, which the wood is black, which is the pine trees now, is black now, And once they broken down, that ash in it, that start getting into the water system, and that goes into the ground. And when that goes into the ground, when that goes into the ground, that's become like a fertilizer. That becomes like an energy drink per se for the trees. So now the trees and the plants and the seeds and everything off them, they can now start breaking down. They start breaking down on the cocoon. It's like being in a coffin, and now everything start breaking apart because everything's now the seeds now under pressure. Now they feeling the water, and the water's breaking down all that outer layer, and now the seeds got to break through of the new life got to come out of it. So anyway, so what happens is with that happening, the charcoal now breaking down, being broken down with the water temperature of the water. Then over a period of time, like I said, over a period of times, the sun will come out. The storm will pass, just like how we have the regular times when we have regular hurricane in our tropical climate, as you do too at times. But this is now the winter time, right? So now what happens is once the storm has passed, the sun will come out. The sun now will bring a lot of heat, and that snow start to what? Melt. And that water now will still go down in the ground and push all that ash in the ground. And the ground will extract that, pull that in. And that will also help now the other trees, the other large trees, them to suck up all this moisture, all this potassium in the ground. All the phosphate. I must say in one other program, I must say phosphate, all that land up in the ground, and that the trees and the plants must suck that up. And what happens is now the little trees with the seeds, with the pine trees dropped, they will start to produce, they start to grow. All of a sudden, the seed will crack open, a blade slam through the ground, cut that through the ground, shoot up, and now you see, because you see your pine trees got a point. So when that breaks through the ground, and the leaves spread out of the crown, and then the trunk start growing, and the tree start to rise out of the ground. Now what happens is the tree now being a young tree, now with the different climate, the different changes in the temperature, it causes it now to start getting adjusted to what's happening. And so when they get adjusted to what is happening, whereas now you have still in winter, you still have other times, you still may have some more snow come through, breaking everything down, and then you got sun comes in, then you got a little rain comes in, then you got different things. So what happened is the trees is getting adjusted to what's happening. And as the trees get adjusted to what's happening now, the mature trees that already know that, hey, I already passed through this, I can handle this. But the young trees now have to learn this experience. And so as they continue to grow and more sun comes out. Now, 2026, as I said, we had mentioned, it ain't over. You got more snow coming because you still got winter, right? Snow is also still fall in spring too, right? Now this spring when everything is happening. Like if you go back into one of my podcasts in 2026, earlier this year, we just had a fire. Our first fire started. I have one of my podcasts they are called "The Hottest Days Are Coming," and what happens is that it said that when the Earth rotates around the sun, it said that January is winter, but that's the hottest time of the year because it's more closer to the sun as it's banking around, circling around the sun. So January now tends to bring in more heat, and that's why last year, round about in January, you had a lot of fires in the United States because that cycle now start creating more fire earlier in the year, right? So now we had a fire, as I said, mentioned in January the 10th. We had a fire, and I posted that online so that you can see the hottest days are coming. And I showed you how our Caribbean pine forest look in terms of when it's burning. It's totally different from how your pine trees burn, your forest burn. It's slightly different. But now, about a few days later, rain came down and rain out that. Right? Now, if you go there and look today, right now, today, February, I pass the area so often, it's look like they even had no fire there. Because the shrubs and everything is already growing back up. We have the sawgrass trees already, the shoots are already starting again. All of the weeds and everything start to grow. Now, over the landscape of the land, all the rocks and different things are still burning and so on. And the other trees then that was in between the Caribbean pine trees in that area, they already burned out. They're already broken down. The ash and everything broken down in the ground. And they would do the same principles would be happening in the United States. You getting this so far? I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for you, right? So now the water and the rain would break everything down. Everything will be fed back into the land for the new shoots, for the new generation of crops that will come out of the ground. Now, so like I said, so now you in the United States or Canada, even everywhere around the world without Caribbean pine trees. It's not only for America, it's everywhere around the world, right? Now, so what happens is, now that the pine trees, the younger ones are able now to mature, and now the weather changing, like I said, in spring, you still having snow. Then, like I said, because now right now the rotation is happening, and now everything started warming up. And like I said again, Professor, you can have more fire now, again, because this is a cycle, you got more fire. Now, so like I said, so the fire is, and the wind and everything is to break everything down. That's the cycle. Now, something else is on the news I heard. They talked about, of course, now they talk about the high surge because the storm bringing a lot of wind. And the wind started battering the coastal shores. And that means sand is being depleted. They call it sand erosion. Now, what's going to happen with that? When that happens now, what's going to happen? Who's going to get the blame of that? You know, you got it right. You listen to my other podcast. Who's going to get the blame of that? The cows are in the trees. They can get all the blame for that because what people say that if the cows are in the trees' fault, they wasn't able to hold that no sand, so we need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of them. Send them back to Australia. Put them on the next boat. Send them back to Australia. Whatever. Cut them down. Take them out. Make them charcoal. And that's what happened in the Bahamas. They blame the cows in the trees for sand erosion. The cows in the trees ain't got nothing to do with sand erosion. Nothing to do with sand erosion. I mean, it happens, right? They happen to be there. But they ain't the one that causes sand erosion. You know, when you look at sand, like I said, I have a book, this book here. This book plays a very important part. You know, I normally talk about this book a lot. This is my book that I wrote called Blueprint of the Bahamas Creation of Land. This deals with every aspect of what's happening, hurricanes, flood waters, everything that's happening, right? This book tells you that I wrote this book and everything and published this in 2024. And this book is called Blueprints of the Bahamas Creation of Land. I post this on one of my other programs, but I just want you to know. Now we say, and you will say that, you hear people say that sand is our resources. That ain't our resources, man. It's the builders on. And you like to hear me talk about builders. You say, who's the builders? I always say talk about builders, but I never hear you say who the builders are. I can't give you everything. I give you a lot. What I didn't give you, you don't get this in your university like this, right? Now, what happened is not resources, it's reserves. Just like, for example, when you put, let's say this money, when you go to the bank, you put your money in the bank or your electronic, you put your money in the bank, right? What you put it there for? You put it there as resources. You put it there to become reserves, right? Because that's what the bank is for. And then when you now want to spend your money, you want to buy whatever you want to buy, then it becomes your resources to buy what you want to buy, right? But the bank is to keep it. The same thing happens. So the sand on the seashore, it's a bank, it's a reserves. But it's for building process of other things. But what happens is people come and they take the sand from out of the ocean and different places, they build what they want to build with it. So that means you have a depletion of sand, you don't have sufficient sand on the seashore, right? Now what happened? Let me give it, I like to give examples. I love giving examples, right? Let's say your hand get a little smaller cut, you squash your hand, what happened? Your skin will knit back together, right? But let's say if you get a big piece chop out of your hand or the part of your body, what's gonna happen is you gotta go get medical attention. They gotta call in a specialist. Then a specialist comes in and they have to give you a skin set, a graft. Now, when they give you skin graft, they normally will take some skin from some other part of your body to put back into this portion where that can now heal and so forth. And that's right. So now the same thing happens with land. When you see sand is extracted from the beach, see, what I giving you? What I giving you? You don't hear this. Like I said, this book is filled with stories of that. I got pages and pages and pages of various different pictures, and you see, and everything is broken down. This over 100 and something thousand words in this book here. I was able to write this book and put it together, every aspect. And so when you look at it, being able to do this, dealing with water, dealing with sand, erosion, like I said, you need that sand. So that sand now has come from someplace to go fit in someplace with people being dredging to try to fill it back in. And I have some other things in this book where I can show you just like how everything that we do in life in terms of we got medical team, doctors and healing and stuff, but the same thing, the same building process. What I'm giving you, you never heard this before. And this is, like I said, this is no secret. Once you know to look for, that's why it's important. Come to blueprintlandcreation@gmail.com. You write me, come get a course. You can upgrade your course. You say, look here, man, this university I'm going to, this professor, this whoever, they ain't giving me everything, man. They hiding some things from me, man. But I hear what you're saying. You break it down, you make it simple. You can go where you are and find the same thing. What I'm talking about on this video, you can go and do the very same thing. And so, like I said now, so that is the process. So that's what sand is for. So when you see the waves slamming against the beaches and doing certain things, no. Most of the time, they taking that sand out to get us someplace to heal something. That's what man has done. The dredging that man has done. And you see all these buildings being broken down. You know, people broken down and building. So they like this day on sand. That's the builder's zone. Like I said, you ask who the builders are. Like I said, come to me and get a course from me. Even online, if you want an online course, say, tell me what you want. Write me, tell me what you want. Tell me, ask me, say, what is the price? What would you charge me to do X, Y, Z? I got it. I got a signature course called Climate Change Cake Baking Course, right? And then I got a next one called Global Warming Bread Baking Course. All them tie into nature. Because once you understand the blueprint, you'll be able to tie everything in one and know why everything is happening. Like I said, like and subscribe, man. This is very important, right? I know you have never heard this before, right? Now let's start getting down to the nitty-gritty now, breaking everything down. There is 4 principles in land being built. 4 principles, 4 things you need. 4 things, and what's happening all the times, right? 4 things. You know what 4 things are? First and foremost, you need water. Water. This is why we have the water. When you see the water and the wind is got water, right? Ice, snow is water, right? All that's water, right? Then you got in the sea, in the marine, you got water, or in the lakes, got fresh water, right? That's one next point, right? Then you need plants. Next thing you need plants. Plants is material, you got different various species of plants. That's the second area, and so essential in the United States, and we're dealing with this aspect. You need the Caribbean, you need the various pine trees, right? They have to be grown, right? And you got various grass and shrubs and different things in between them. All them make up material, right? And they will grow across what? All of them comes from, you normally here in my podcast when I talk about things, I talk about plantee. Plants come from the kingdom of plantee, meaning that they all need water to live and to grow, right? Plantee, right? Next thing you need, when all that everything that breaks down, that's the cycle that you're dealing with. I didn't deal with that as I was talking about the program as I started, right? Now, so from the plant's life, the pine trees and other various trees then that will be burned down and make charcoal and then become fertilizer, and then you get all of the carbon and everything we put out of there, right? Next one, after you then get all that, you need when the sun, everything then broke that wood and everything broke that down, and the plants then get the fertilizer and everything. Now you got to come back again. You got fire. Fire comes now and burn and make sure everything back into fine matter. And then what happens is the builder now takes that reserves and you start to build with. And that's how you get your land. So the main thing is with the fire, with the wind and everything is doing is repairing land. Now, yes, you have lost a lot of monies and time and so forth because what? You think it's a war. It's like a war because what? The wind needs to do its job to build land. The fire needs to do its job to build land. The water needs to do its job to build land. The trees need to do its job for land to be built for you, for me. Even though some people say, well, we ain't got sufficient land. It's sufficient land. We ain't caught God off guard. God didn't get caught off guard. So, my people ain't got nowhere to go. You know, like how when the Egyptians, when the Israelites left Egypt, and they thought they ain't know where they're going. God got it. And then, when it was time to feed them, they thought, can't feed them, right? God got food for everything. God got everything secured. So he got land that's already established for you and for me. Everybody, it's sufficient land for everybody, right? It never be overpopulated, right? So what happened is, this is the build land. So this is what the fire is all about, building land. These are the 4 principles, right? For land being built. And this is the blueprint cycle, the blueprint land creation. This is why I'm always producing and I'm always doing these podcasts. Marine science, that's what marine science is dealing with, everything, right? The Bible, creation is marine science. Marine science is creation, marine science is God. And like I said, I will show you all that, and as time coming, I will be able to show you God, the creator, in his creation, in his blueprint, in his marine science, because marine science is truth. Remember when Jesus stood before Pilate, and Pilate asked him, what is truth? But he could be saying, marine science, marine science, what is truth? Truth is all about around you. And you can go and you can do your own research. All right? You can do your own research. Now, something else you may see on my podcast as I am coming to a close right now, but you may see on my podcast, sometimes I always use my other channel, which is Blueprint BLC archives, and on the same program. That's for a reason. Sometimes I like to bring certain things from that what I think is important, and I allow you to see it. But normally that channel on the other one, which sometimes this channel is being sponsored by Blueprint Archives on my next channel, but basically the same thing. And if anybody try to copy it, hey, you see that emblem of that avatar with the eyes and everything. Once it's zoomed in, you see what? The earth got an eye, the sun got an eye, and the stars and the darkness and so forth. That's the environment. That's all that is marine science. Creation. Everything is communicating with one another. And like I said, I will continue to talk to you and allow you to see and understand my way. Like, subscribe, and share mine. But like I said, most important, write some comments, but also, like I said, I have the knowledge in my head. You want it, you need it, right? There's some things I will give you. I give you what I've given you already. You have not gotten that, the ones who dealing with geology or in universities and so forth. Some of these things you never heard this before like this, right? But like I said, there are many more. But I want you to come. See, knowledge ain't free. You got to pay for it. Just like how you got to pay in university, you got to pay. And some of you still ain't got what you're supposed to get, right? But like I said, I will give you the knowledge. Come, call me, write me, so that, hey, you can say, hey, I listened to what Blueprint Land Creation said, Brentwood B. Manson said. I did the work, and I found out what he said is truth. And if it ain't no truth, write it there. Put it in there. Hey, what you talking about is junk. That ain't no truth. I went and tried it. That ain't work. But when it works, man, I'm on the bandwagon now. Whatever you're dealing with, I want to know, right? So like, subscribe, and share. Again, this is Blueprint Land Creation Podcast. Like I like to say, we are like a university within, because knowledge you have been given. You are like in say college. Some of you this year freshman year. Some of you this year sophomore years, and then some of you want to go in for your doctorate degree. You get all that here. I teach you all that. I allow you to learn that. Like I said, again, this book, this book got over 100,000 words in it, and this broken it down. Like they said, in the doctoral degree, you got to give it and break it down and tell you how you get to that. But this, theory. This, theory. Like I like to say, when you look at theory, what is theory? If you go to the dictionary, I some of you all know. I got a kind of eye cross education. But when I go to the dictionary and I look at theory, what theory means? They said theory means speculation. What that means? It's like small word. That's why I like break things down. Small things. It means guessing. Guessing mean what? I ain't sure. That's what guessing means. That's what theory means. It ain't sure, right? But again, you truth, facts. Put it to the test. Put it to the test. You go and do your own research. Like I said, these are the 4 things for land, for creation of land, for dealing with land. Right? And once you get them 4 things, and you know how the builder now, again, like I said, when you know how to fix that together, you'll be able to solve a lot of the problems and situation. Now, like I said, I will give you more information as I go on. And I'm starting to talk about various things that are affecting the environment, what people are talking about, so that you know. So again, all the weather, temperatures and everything that's plummeting, that's just a joke now. We got fire now. The fire time now. In 2026, more fires. Like it's whatever records was broken, you got fire now, right? And then when you got more fire, you see all them floods that you want. Then you got flood time, fire time. All them place their part in the blueprint cycle. All them have the blueprint. All them have a cycle, a time frame. Some years will be less, some years will be more. Right? And of course, if you keep breaking on as much as you're breaking on, you've got plenty wars. Plenty wars, and you can get plenty deaths. That's why in the Bahamas, we have something, they call it build back stronger. I look at that and laugh. I say build back stronger. You build it back stronger? Okay, well, you got a bigger, you think you can win this war? You get a bigger hurricane. Now, what's going to happen is the man who had the money, the rich man who had the money, he can get away. He can get away. You know why he can get away? He get the money. He can tell you, he jump in the plane, he go someplace else where, no flood, nothing happening. Right? But then what happens is, where you go, a tsunami may kick up. Still getting, right? So again, like, subscribe, and share. Write in the comments down below. See you next time. Look up for some more. Look down, wherever you're at. Look through my work. See there. Write me. Talk to me. I'm here. Goodbye for now.